Hello, everyone, and welcome to From Booth to Bottom Line, Optimizing Your Trade Show Spend. I'm Eric Weber. I'm Director of Sales here at E3XPS, and this is Michael Burns. He's one of our Senior Marketing Consultants. Today, we're looking forward to talking with you about ways to maximize your investment at trade shows and also giving you some education on budgeting and working towards creating the best experience and getting the most out of your trade show investment. As many of you know and can see behind us, the flashy and exciting part of our job is to work with companies to design and manufacture amazing trade show exhibits. But the not so flashy side of it, and what we're going to talk about today, is working towards providing a clear and defined budget and ways to track your investment at these shows. The first half of the seminar, Michael's going to share some ways to, some budgeting strategies. And then in the second half, I'm going to show ways to track your ROI. This is Michael's portion, the trade show budgeting. And first, he's going to talk about how much should I budget for my trade show program? Why do trade shows cost so much? How do I justify my trade show budget? And then how can I stretch my trade show budget? In the measuring ROI, I'll talk about what should I measure about my trade show program? How do I calculate ROI and get the data to measure it? How do I report trade show results to senior management? And what proven steps can I take to boost ROI and improve my results? Throughout the presentation, if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to enter those into the chat. We'll take some time at the end to answer all those. And this is all pretty high-level information. We're happy to dig much more deep into this. We know every industry, every company has different strategies. So if you'd like to schedule some time individually with myself, Michael, or one of our other consultants, you can just type your email into the chat line, put a little $ next to your email, and somebody will reach out to you to schedule some time to discuss more in depth. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michael.
Thanks, Eric. Like Eric said, I'm Michael Burns. I'm a Senior Marketing Consultant here at E3XPS. Welcome, everyone. Let's kind of dive in. So first is, how much should I budget for my trade show program? So some key stats here coming is, so on average, trade shows is 14% of B2B marketing budget with client-owned booths already. So example, $1 million marketing budget, you're looking at about $140,000 for your trade show budget, not including your booth. You can also take it a step farther and go per show. So we do a 1/3 rule, where if your booth space $10,000, estimated total cost will be around $30,000. And again, that's not including the purchase of the booth, but show services, shipping, logistics, booth staff, other things like that go into the trade shows itself. From there, how much should I budget for my trade show program? This is kind of broken down into percentages. Again, this is with a owned booth by the client already. Your exhibit space, you're looking at about 36.5%. Exhibit design and construction, meaning updated graphics, adding new product, or anything new, you're looking at about 10.8%. Exhibit shipping, about 10.3%. Show services, 12.2%. Exhibit promotion, 6.1%. Show travel and lodging, 13.5%. Graphic design, 6%. And then other related items, about 4.6%. So some benchmarks for budgeting. How much should I budget for a trade show? So we're seeing on average booth staffs cost anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 per show. And again, that is flights, lodging, food, entertainment. everything that goes into getting that booth staffer there at the event. And then booth spaces, we're looking at about $40 per square foot of your booth space, and that is through the show. And then rental options, you're about 33 to about 50% less than a purchase if you went the rental route. And then obviously private vents per square foot is much lower. Getting into the custom exhibits of a purchase for an island space, you're looking at about 200 to 250 per square foot. That is averages. We see clients go above that. We see clients go below that. And then in an inline space, we're at about 100 to 150 per square foot. And again, that could go above and below. The real fun question is, why do trade shows cost so much? You always hear it. Oh, it's expensive. All these costs. Well, we'll dive into it a little deeper here. So why do trade shows cost so much? There is nothing like a trade show. No event experience like it anywhere. There's multiple players. You are meeting with your competition. You're meeting with your clients, potential customers. There is nothing like it in a 3 to 4 day span of being able to meet with that many people face to face. The fun part too is, why do trade shows cost so much? Our temporary labor armies. It really goes by city. You got Chicago, the San Franciscos, the New Yorks are going to be a lot more expensive than your Ohios, your Nashville, your smaller ones. So it really depends on the city that you're in. And with the labor, it is temporary labor, so you are paying a premium because that is for that temporary show. Kind of where the fun begins with us is displays designed for multiple trips. Here at E3, all of our hardware is custom modular, meaning it fits together like Lego pieces. You can build on and take away just depending on the size. These are built to be set up, taken down, shipped, you name it. We've seen it all. They go through the ringer of getting to the shows and out of it, which is an investment because these are going to last decades. You have clients that will redo graphics, but their hardware stays the same for years and years. So we tell a lot of our clients we can't look at it just as that pure one investment cost. For instance, if you go to 10 shows a year and you spend $100,000 on a booth, well, you're going to 10 shows, so you're looking at about $5,000 per show. Is that really that much money over the long run, over more than just 1 year? Why do trade shows cost so much as well? Is lost sales on non-follow-up leads. I won't throw any clients under the bus, but we did recently just have a client. Their booth assets came back to the show. We actually do the prep and inspection on the return, and we noticed that their lead list was actually in their client assets. So I pulled that out, reached out to the client and said, hey, the real reason going for these is to get the leads and follow-ups. So I sent that information over to them so they can follow up, because I want them to be prepared and successful at these shows. Again, it's like real estate, location, location, location. I know these numbers may seem a little lower. I know we'd all probably live in California if it was 376,000, but you can see the difference. Again, the Ohios are going to be a lot less than New York, San Francisco, the major cities like that as well. So how do I justify my trade show budget? There's lots of ways that we can get into that, and we will right here. So how do I justify my trade show budget? From LinkedIn in 2024, B2B marketing leaders identified in-person events as the most effective marketing channel. So, budget is huge. Well, we'll learn here a little bit of how to track your ROI and some tips on which shows that are going to be the best for you. And how to justify it is through actual stats and results. And Eric will get into that here in a little bit of how to track those ROI at the shows to make sure that you are going to the correct ones. Trade shows help achieve marketing goals. 99% of people found a unique value in going to trade shows. 60% of them of the valued ability to see lots of prospects, customers at the same time. 51% valued face-to-face meetings with prospects and customers, and 47% valued the ability to meet with a variety of different players. Trade shows deliver attendees that buy. That is key. 91% ranked trade shows as extremely useful as a source of product purchasing information. 86 say attending exhibitions helps make buying decisions easier. 98% of the younger attendees found valuable takeaways at trade shows. And 93% would likely attend another show in the future. Those are very high statistics. And obviously, reporting successful results beats statistics. How can I optimize my trade show budget? I get asked this all the time, and there are a variety of different ways of how we do this. You can see here in percentages, again, these are just averages, but exhibit only at the right show. Only 23% of people are saying they are exhibiting at the right shows. Reuse of booth materials, 18%. Change promotions, 13%. Booth staffing, 10%. Shipping, 8%. Plan ahead and order early, 7%. More lightweight and easy displays, 7%. Smaller booth space, 6%. And share with partners, 6%. And we'll get into that right here. So how do I optimize my trade show budget? It is all about picking the right shows. And Eric will get into here in a little bit on return on investment and how to track those stats so that you can ensure that, hey, these are the correct shows and I am getting a return on these shows instead of going to a show and not getting anything out of it. Reuse of booth materials and displays, 18%. Again, here at E3, we are a custom modular solution, so we can, again, build on and take away. So if you have a 20 by 20 booth, we can reuse that hardware into a 10 by 20 or a 10 by 10 here that you see on the screen with Burns and McDonnell. Change of promotions, 13% said change of promotions. This is kind of a tricky one where, majority of people are keeping the same promotions year in and year out, changing them very few times. How do I optimize my trade show budget with booth staffing? Are you taking too many people? Are you taking too few people? Are you taking the correct people? Those are all questions that you have to ask internally of what you're trying to get across at the trade show. Do I need my executives? Do I need the product information there accessible for people? So knowing who's staffing your booth is very important to not only you, but to the people attending the show. And then saving on shipping. We see it all the time where clients that are, oh, I have a show in 2 weeks and I need to ship something out. Again, planning ahead, most of the time you know your year program of which trade shows. So being able to ship early to advanced warehouses are going to save tremendously instead of getting, hey, I need to overnight this, my show's here in a couple of days. Same with going through show services. Most shows are going to offer a discount of planning on ordering all the show services before and registering for the show. So if you have a clear cut, hey, I am going to this show, meet those deadlines. They are huge cost savings. And then more lightweight and easier displays. You have to do this per show. Depending on the show size, you may need to go a little bit bigger, but there are plenty of shows that you can go lighter weight and still have a great presence. And then share costs with partners. We do see this all the time with companies with sister companies or partners that they'll go to the trade show with each other and kind of piggyback off of. They go off of their customers and then meet with their partners to help provide the best solution through that trade show. So I am actually going to pass it back over to Eric, and he will talk a little bit about ROI.
All right, thanks, Michael. Some good information on determining budget, helping plan for budget. Again, all of this is pretty high-level information. We're happy to sit down with you, give you some ballpark ranges on different budgets, different estimates to expect when you're going to shows at different scales. A lot of those stats and numbers that Michael shared are ways to maximize that budget. We can also help inform you on what we suggest to start with as a starting point on a budget. So these are all ways that we can act as a partner, as a consultant, help you and your team be as successful as possible while you're out at the shows. Beyond budget, now we're going to talk about how to maximize the return on investment and what we should measure about your trade show program. How do I calculate ROI and get the data to measure it? How do I report trade show results to senior management? And what proven steps can I take to boost ROI and improve my results? Okay, so what should I measure about my trade show program? The most important thing, obviously, is what your leadership team wants you to measure. This is, we're all here to make money as companies, provide our clients with the best experience at shows, etc. Everybody has different objectives, but what you want to make sure you know of is what your leadership team is expecting. We sit down with clients sometimes and we'll have 3 or 4 people in a strategy meeting, and there could be different objectives coming from each person. So make sure that's aligned. It may be different at every show, but at least make sure it's aligned and defined for each person. The other thing to measure is how well you achieved those goals, and then, of course, evaluate throughout the process what will help you improve those results. These are just a few things that you can measure. The top 3 are return on objective. So objectives could be brand awareness, lead generation, and building relationships. These are a little bit more difficult to measure because they're not actual quantifiable numbers. It's more just engagement and having that brand be visible and your brand awareness going up. The bottom 2 are actually quantifiable, and there's several calculators that we can work through and show you how to actually determine real hard numbers on return on investment, sales from trade show, and investment at the show. So how to measure the awareness at shows. Surveys is a good way to do this. If you've got some long-term clients that you see at every show, even potential prospects that you have some good engaging discussions with, people are very willing to give input. We know this through Google reviews and Amazon reviews. So basically, we suggest that you do some surveys. Ask people about brand perception, their intent to purchase, staff performance, booth perception. And then also the value of the at show and earned media impressions. So this is things like social media. Earned media impressions are basically a way to track the value of marketing efforts that you did not have to pay for. So social media engagements, online, even at show videos and different promotional things that happen that you didn't actually have to invest money in. Again, there's calculators to determine what this earned media value is, but this is a big one because basically it doesn't cost any money. One way to make sure you get a lot of exposure while you're out at trade shows is to be very actively engaged with the show Twitter, LinkedIn, all of these, especially larger shows, usually have a dedicated social media that you should be following, engaging with, not only before the show or not only during the show, but also before the show and after the show as well. How to measure leads. This is pretty easily quantifiable. Of course, count the leads that you get while you're at the show, and then see how that relates to the actual total cost of the show. This also, you can get more in depth with it, give certain value structure to A leads, B leads, and C leads. The way that we internally do our lead system is based on timeliness. How soon does one of our clients or prospects need an exhibit or an update? And then also, how willing they are to engage, and also potential value of that client. So we suggest you put, your leads at A, B, or C level, and that will help you also determine return on investment from leads. How to measure relationships, count how many client meetings you had. This is something that's really important. Michael talked about it a little bit, the value of these face-to-face interactions. There's really nothing that replaces it. We have gotten into more of a virtual world where there's online meetings and interaction that way, but it's very well known that you cannot replace talking to someone face-to-face and getting in front of them. At these events, you have that opportunity with hundreds or thousands of people over a weekend. So you want to count your actual meetings that you have scheduled, and then also, again, go through those perception surveys. The sales process does get a little tricky to calculate because it may be difficult to say, this sale was attributed directly to the trade show. In some cases, it might be a totally new lead of a random person that just saw your exhibit space and started engaging with your team, or it could be a situation where this person, visited your space after you've had virtual meetings with them and phone calls with them, and actually getting to meet with them face to face really progressed the sale. So this is something that does, take a little bit of time to understand where that sale started, how it progressed, and what impact the show had on it. But also something to keep in mind is the sales process and how long that could potentially take. So why measure ROI? You want to make sure you're comparing investments at different shows. We have several clients that have one or two really large shows every year and then multiple smaller shows. So you'll want to make sure you're comparing investments and the scale that you're exhibiting at different events. Another big reason to measure ROI is justification for budget. We have to, work with our clients and give them average costs and take a look at, what their competition's doing to help determine budget. But then after that spend happens, we want to make sure it's justified and we can actually put a number on it and what that resulted in. And then, of course, it's less misleading when you actually do have numbers and stats on it. So how do I calculate ROI and get the data to measure it? There's several calculators that we can go through with you, and that's something that we're happy to do anytime. But if we don't measure, what if we don't measure based on profits? These are things that aren't actual quantifiable numbers: relationships, awareness, lead counts, and sales. So this is a really simple calculation: the sales revenue from a trade show lead divided by your cost of exhibiting at that show. I like to actually take it a little bit farther than that. An initial sale could be X amount, but if you actually think about the lifetime value of a client, that number really grows a lot. So, of course, the initial sale is important. You're gaining that business, but if you do the lifetime value of the client, it will probably be substantially more than just that initial sale. So let's say you have a lead from a trade show, whether it's new or progressed during the show. They end up spending $100,000. The actual cost of exhibiting at that show, $10,000, which I'm guessing it was probably way more than that based off Michael's budget numbers. But just a simple calculation, that show would be a 10-to-1 return on investment. Tracking the data. So this is something that you want to make that really easily understandable for your team. Of course, management team, anyone that's looking at these numbers for return on investment, want to have some information that's easy to access and interpret. In order for you to track the data, you need to make sure you have access to your sales team CRM. Make sure everything are tagged well in that CRM. As a part of our sales team and knowing other people in our sales team, this is something that we do focus on. Some of us are better at it than others, so I would say maybe take some initiative, make sure leads get tagged and tracked correctly in CRM. Make sure they go back and historical data shows this came from trade show XYZ, and that way you can attribute any future sales to that show. Forecasting. I talked about this a little bit before. Some sales cycles are way longer than others. It may take 6 months or a year to actually, engage with somebody, go through discovery, find solutions. Contract process might take 3 months or 6 months until the actual sale is final. So this is a way that you can do forecasted ROI and use those longer sales cycles to still show, we maybe didn't, sell anything immediately or land any new business immediately from this certain event, but these are things that are in the pipeline. These are things that we are 50% confident or 80% confident that they will actually sell. And this is a way to forecast ROI from certain shows. And then how do I report this data to senior management? Make the reports relevant. Of course, important information. We want to be very concise. A lot of times, when we're talking with leadership or exec level, the time is limited. They have a million different things going on. This is, of course, important, but make the information concise and easy to interpret. Visual documents are good, and then make sure it's consistent from show to show. So you're reporting the same type of material in the same type of way. That just makes it easier to understand and evaluate. So here's one example of a document that could be shared internally. A lot of different information in here, but it's really easy to interpret. So you've got key metrics that the senior management wants. You've got 35% more A leads than last year. Lead counts up 25%. Hopefully all the reports look like this. This is a good one. forecast 12.2 to 1 ROI. And then there's some graph document down below talking about the leads, the change, and you can also see the A, B, and C lead designation as well that I talked about earlier. This one gets a little bit more detailed with the exhibit results. Always sort of recap your objectives that were defined before the show. We've got a new exhibit that we used. It was actually lighter weight, reduced some cost for shipping, drayage, and setup. So that helps with the budget and the spend. And then also go through promotion results and then the booth staffing results. So booth staffing is really important as well. Every company does it differently, but we see some companies that treat trade shows sort of as a vacation or a reward, which is nice. I mean, to reward people for positive performance and longevity with the company. But if you want the best results, we really suggest taking your best people to trade shows. So you can see here, sort of the variance in lead generation from booth staffers. Looks like David Oberg, his last show, so he had 7 leads. That may have been a little bit of a celebration time, or maybe not as motivated as some of the people that, this was their first show and they're really trying to generate new business. So these are all really important things that not only show that you are tracking, you do have real data, but then you can evaluate and adjust for future events. And then just a little bit more of a summary and other information that can be evaluated throughout the ROI process. You can rank the investment at different shows, and these are all things, as I mentioned earlier, we can sit down and walk through with you and show you some of these tools and how to get this information. Summary page, outcome of initiatives, lead counts, calculations. You can get really in depth with all of this. I would say, based on just my experience over the last 10 or 12 years, probably half of my clients do this really, really well. The other half maybe don't even do it at all. So this is something that will, help advance strategies, help justify budgets, and it's a really, really valuable tool, especially, if you get called up by management or, anybody in marketing and say, why are we going to these trade shows? Why are we spending all these money in trade shows? This is really, really important data to have. And then more about the booth staffing and lead counts throughout the year. So what steps can I take to boost ROI and improve results? You start tracking this stuff, you've got some data, you see some good results, maybe some not so great results at different shows. How can we improve it? The easiest way is pre-show marketing and promotions. This is something that not many of our clients do, but it is really important. You've got this show coming up. We suggest you start working with pre-show marketing and promotions 3 months, 6 months out from the show. It could be things like social media engagement, direct calls to clients or prospects, even just a mass emailer. All of these shows have attendee lists. If you've got some historical data, you can look back at who you met with previously at the shows. The pre-show work is really what makes for a successful at-show experience. Another way to improve it is selecting the right space and shows, the exhibit design, lead management, and booth staffing. So pre-show marketing, most people are enticed by giveaways. You walk through the show and you've got your trade show bag and you fill it with all sorts of stuff. But we also suggest that you make these giveaways important and relevant to your brand. If you do have, potentially some bigger clients or bigger prospects, it's also a good idea to have tiers of giveaways. So, you've got your smaller items for random people that just walk up to the space, and then maybe a nicer giveaway or promotional item for people that actually do invest time and engage or schedule a meeting. So giveaways are very important. Experts in the booth is something that is also very valuable, providing education, providing information, and then providing the attendee basically with a reason to actually come to your space. How do I choose a show and or space? So there's a few different ways. As I mentioned, you can see attendee lists of each show, people that actually do go to the show. One rule of thumb also is, name your top 2 or 3 competitors. And if your competitors are at the show, then you should most likely be there as well. A lot of different ways to determine, size of space, investment at show, etc. But we do always suggest, if you have been exhibiting at a show, to make sure you stay relevant and stay at that show. These events are all about perception, and if the perception changes, if you had a large space and all of a sudden go down to a small space, or if you completely back out of a show, people start to wonder or question things. And then also, if you do choose a show to have a product launch or, really try to enhance your brand awareness, you can completely change perception and look bigger than you are. You can invest a significant amount and maybe it's even a rental exhibit where you take your brand to the next level and look bigger than you actually are or better than your competitors. And then trends in design. This is another way to help with return on investment. More lightweight. So modular components, fabric graphics, things that are less heavy and pack into fewer crates will help with shipping costs, drayage costs. And then some of these other ones, that first one going more lightweight has, direct impact on cost. A lot of the other ones have to do with more just experience and brand perception. So more open and inviting, more video and technology, and then, feature products. These are just a couple of quotes from people about integrating technology and virtual experiences into the space. This is something that we see more and more, and actually is a part of pretty much every exhibit experience we do now. There's some sort of interactive component, whether it's, simple video content all the way up to, huge LED screens or virtual reality. A lot of people are a little uncomfortable with it, which you see in some of these quotes. It's continually progressing. It's something that our team stays educated on. We've got a virtual team that can help develop content, strategize with you all to make sure it's relevant and works well inside the space. But this is very, very important. The nice thing, too, about a lot of this content is it translates outside of the exhibit space. So, yes, we can develop with the show as a focus, but this content then can be used in everyday sales experiences as well. So the lead management and dynamic CRM is another way that you can boost ROI and improve the results. This is basically just making sure everything is tracked correctly and accurately throughout your lead management and CRM. A follow-up plan is important, quickly after the show. Qualify different visitors and people you see at the show. I was talking about the A, B, and C leads. There are different ways to link leads directly into CRM. Dedicate one person to the process. And then, follow up with the sales team and bug them and ask them if they've, talked with John that they saw it at the trade show last week. Just make sure everybody's getting the attention that they need to progress through the sales cycle. The booth staffing, does it matter who I send? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Beyond just salespeople, the attendees at these trade shows are all different demographics and different levels throughout their company. So we suggest that you have the same available in your company. You'll want to have the exciting, bubbly person to greet people and try to, drive traffic into the booth. It's important to have some product experts there available, people that can do demos or go through software programs, engineering, customer service. We suggest you have a variety of people in different positions available inside the booth. These are just a couple of stats from surveys, the who to pick. So best skills and attitude for booth staffing, closest match of knowledge. And then past performance is not quite as impactful as I thought it would be, but this just shows that people are flexible, evaluating, growing, and changing. So, past performance isn't as big of a factor as you progress through your trade show program. A couple ways to improve. More booth staff training is probably the most important of this that I think and see that people don't really put too much value in or do very often. Part of our process here before each show with a new exhibit, we'll actually build the exhibit here for our clients to come in. The exhibit's basically built like it will be on the show floor. That gives our team the ability to make sure it's up to our standards, but it also gives your team the ability to come in, make sure it's up to your standards, and also bring staff in to do a training session on, expectations, where their position is inside the space, test video content. Really helps alleviate a lot of headaches, stress, challenges on the show floor where it's a lot more difficult to find a solution to some of these problems. And that's it. So those are all some ways to help improve the ROI from budgeting at shows. Obviously, Michael talked about some different ways to strategize and come up with budgets at shows. Hopefully, you guys have some questions, and hopefully there's some emails in here with the $, because I'd like to talk with you all about this more. But we'll go ahead and answer some questions now. Okay. No questions, so I guess we did really, really well and answered everything. But yeah, if you want to talk more about any of this stuff, we are happy to. It's we can go a lot more in depth with all of this. This was some sort of basic-ish information at a high level, but it is really, really important, something that we put a lot of value in. The more success that you have at shows, the better it is for all of us. You get to go to more shows. We get to help you out with more shows. And we can help show the success that you're having with this return on investment.